Hey, 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 hey. Happy Motivational Monday, y'all. First and foremost, I want to say thank you so very much for Kenitra doing this wellness tour, where the work meets the world, and to just push all of us that's a part of her community, that have written books, journals, just have resources to help each other based on what helped us heal. So, again, to my name is Kayla Young, and I just want to say welcome to tonight. Um, me day one, because I have a day two. Day one is about me telling my story and my why. So today is personal. This is not just content. This is really my life story. And what I want to start with is simple. Just be honest. There was a time in my life where I was showing up for everybody. When I say everybody, everybody. If you're watching this live, comment, share, tag people in that you think will benefit from this. And I want to give y'all a heads up. I am on Mimi duty. So I'm at I brought my granddaughter to track practice. So I'm outside. So if you have a lot of background noise, I apologize in advance for it. So, hey Paula. So what I want to talk to you guys about is what who I am. Because a lot of people have heard me coach, teach, speak on different things, but they don't really know me and who I am. So for me, born and raised Houston, Texas, mother of two amazing adult daughters. I also have two amazing grandchildren. Worked for the Postal Service, 28 years being a carrier, and divorced twice. I don't know if a lot of people know that. Divorced twice, but my kids are from my first husband. And if anybody that really know me, I talk about him all the time. I call my baby daddy, because we still do things together. We still travel together with the family and all of that. And a lot of people like, how are you able to do that? Well, because of some of the things that I went through and I witnessed, I didn't want that for my girls. So with that being said, I told him, even though me and him didn't work, I was going to do my part to ensure that him and the girls still had the relationship that they had. Y'all, these love bugs are out of control. Still had the relationship that they had. So for me, I was always, again, showing up for everybody, putting myself on the back burner, slowly disappearing, being mama, being sister, being daughter, being niece, being co-worker, being friend, just be showing up for everybody. When I say everybody, I was the one people would call when they needed an answer. I was the one that carried folks. You know what I'm saying? It was just second nature for me. I didn't even think twice about it until reality hit and I became an empty nester. So I felt like nobody saw me and how heavy things were that I was carrying. I was wearing the cape. And it was weighing me down so heavy and I didn't realize it because what did I do? I pushed it aside and I kept moving on. You know, nothing, because I wanted, that was nothing because I wanted to do it. That's just me and who I am. Um, and I never thought nothing of it until my adult daughters start saying some things to me that they witnessed as kids. And they was like, well, mom, we said if you liked it, we love it. But when we become adults, a lot of this stuff that you doing and dealt with and put up with, we ain't got to do that. Point blank in the period. So that was an eye opener for me. So ladies, know that your kids are watching you. I always knew they watched, but I didn't realize how deep they watched until again they became adults, and then they because we always had that open line of communication, but it was just certain things they say, well, mom, we weren't gonna say anything to you because we already know how you are about showing up for people. You'll be the first one there, the last one to leave. You'll set stuff up. You just that's just your nature. So hey, Kim. So I never thought being strong meant never breaking. How many of us think like that? I never thought being dependable meant never saying no because I never said no. I thought being her meant losing me. And some of y'all listening right now, you know exactly what I'm talking about and how that feels. For real, for real. That hidden weight that we be carrying, them capes, that smile through moments that were breaking you, are breaking me. I show up in rooms where I felt unseen. I poured into people who didn't even realize I was empty. And behind all of that, I behind all of that was a quiet question I didn't know how to answer. And that question is, who am I? Really? Who am I? Not who people needed me to be, not who I learned how to be, not who I performed as, but who I truly am or was. Who am I? Who did God create me to be? And that question, it didn't scream to me. It was whispered to me. It showed up in the late nights. It showed up in the moments of silence. It showed up in spaces where distractions couldn't reach me. How many of you can witness about that hidden burden, that suffering in silence? I'm a living witness. But look, I thank God for my children, and I thank God for the communities that I connected with that allowed me to start doing the necessary work. And the breaking point, because here's the truth, you can only wear a cape for so long before it starts suffocating you. You can only wear the cape for so long before it starts suffocating you. You can only carry the weight for so long before you start crying out for relief. I had reached that place. I had reached that place where I couldn't keep pretending, where I couldn't keep avoiding, where I couldn't keep being everything for everyone, but nothing for myself, losing me in the process. hmm Losing me in the process. That's where my becoming started. Not in perfection, but in the breaking. Because what he kept speaking so loud to me is, you're bruised, but you're not broken. And everything that you have gone through is for a reason, it's for a purpose. At the time when you're going through it, you don't realize it. But that breaking was necessary to start my healing process. And it's not an overnight process, y'all. I want to be very clear on that. Once we identify these capes and what's weighing us down, and not knowing who we truly are, it's a process. And I want to say this clear because sometimes we rush the process. Cause baby, let me tell you, I thought after that first little session and I'm recognizing and da da da, I said, oh, I'm good. Negative, Ghost Rider. It's gonna be a constant journey. So when he starts speaking to me about freedom my my journey to freedom, my journey to freedom. I was like, oh, so this is a ongoing situation. I just can't. Hey, Deb, I just can't. It's not a one and done, one hit it quitter. It's levels to this. So I want to say this clear again. We can't rush the process. I want to make sure the people in the back row hear this. We think one prayer will fix everything. One breakthrough will erase years of pain. For me, it was over 40 years. It was over 40 years that I had been holding on to stuff, not releasing, just pushing through. I don't know how long you may have been dealing with stuff, but for me, I did the math. I said, "Oh Lord, that was 40 years. So it's not gonna happen overnight. It's layers." So for me, it looked like this. I had to sit with myself and Holy Spirit, sit with the truth and stop avoiding it. I had to acknowledge the wounds I buried for them 40 years, y'all. And for my wounds, it's family. It's family. The thing that's supposed to be the closest to you. 40 years, y'all. So it's definitely layers, and I'm gonna be transparent. I am just now getting to the point where I'm okay. I am okay with releasing, because what I realized, the capes that I was wearing, the things that I was holding on to because of the familiarity of my family, because I love my family, and I put myself on the back burner. I put me on the back burner. I allow me to just be whatever to whoever. And then when I sat in it and acknowledged the wounds that I had buried for 40 years, my God, I was like, Lord. So then I had to realize too, and I had to let God into the places that I had kept hid. I call it sister suffering in silence. It looked like I had to get and down in some good hard prayer, some real prayer, some ugly cries, some lonely nights, some lonely days. And I had to, and it's not just words, but true surrender. I had to release it. I had to start setting boundaries, healthy boundaries, but I had to start setting boundaries, because what I was realizing, even though the hurt was there, I was still allowing them access to me in ways that I did not need them to be, and then it kept allowing them to hurt me. So that's why I had to start saying, okay, I got to put these boundaries up. I gotta look at and start reflecting and being honest about the patterns that I was allowing to trigger me in my responses. I had to start being aware of me, because one thing that the therapist told me, and even my pastor was talking to me, is I'm responsible for me. Concentrate on you. If you never get the apology, if they never acknowledge what they did, you got to be okay with that. You got to release that. Uh-huh. Yep. Sisters suffering in silence. It's so many of us doing that. So it looked like me choosing growth even when it was uncomfortable. And y'all, and just being transparent, when it comes to family, that is very uncomfortable to have to say, why, I have people asking me, well, how is this person? How is that person? And because I'm not trying to put family business out there, I'm like, oh, everybody good. Oh, everybody good. And then recently someone asked me, and I didn't go into no details. I just said, oh, I don't know. There's a brokenness. But that was very uncomfortable because that was my first time ever saying the words out loud to someone. So facing the truth, because healing will ask you questions like, why do you keep overgiving? Why do you struggle to set boundaries? Why do you tie your values to what you do for others? And these questions, they don't always feel good, but they are necessary. We got to ask ourselves these questions because if you cannot heal what you refuse to acknowledge, and I had to acknowledge that somewhere along the way, I lost me. I was a dreamer, y'all. I would dream big dreams before the hurt happened, before the betrayal happened. God would come to me in dreams, and I was a big dreamer. Man, the things that I saw for myself when I got older, but when that trauma happened, that shut me all the way down. Shut me all the way down. I stopped dreaming. Yep. I get being vague to protect others. But they wasn't protecting me because they were out there running their mouth telling the whole world. And then I got people calling me wanting to know what's going on. And I'm like, and I ain't saying nothing. Mm-hmm. Yeah, they talking, telling everybody everything because I guess they thought I was talking, but that's not me. That's never been me. I'm not gonna sit up here and run my mouth about stuff that's going on. So then I have outside folks coming up to me asking me questions. So y'all, these capes can weigh us down. So God didn't just heal me. And this is where everything shifted for me. God didn't just come in and fix my pain. He started uncovering me. He started putting me in places where people had started recognizing and talking and speaking life into me and telling me who I was. And then I started saying, oh, that's who God said I was way back when I used to dream. That's who God said I was. So the piece by piece, layer by layer, the real me started showing up. The unfiltered me, the me that exists before expectations, before the wounds, before survival mode. Whoo, baby. Let me tell you, that process is not a pretty one. I'm still dealing with a few things. I don't want you to think that I have arrived. I'm not where I used to be, but I still got a ways to go because again, it's layers. Cause I had suppressed so much for so long, just pushing through till every now and again something else will come around the corner and slap me upside my face. I'm like, oh. But because I am doing the work and I have the community and I have accountability partners that speak to me, godly words, pray over me, give me word scriptures to study on. Then I also have my book that we'll get more into about removing the cape, a 21 journal to help women to find their true identity. That's what was birthed out of my healing, this journal. Because after using my voice and actually telling some of my story, not all of my story, I realized it's a lot of us women out here that suffer in silence, that we do not we're not authentic to who God has created us to be. We have capes on, we have masks on, we're pretending. That if somebody asks you, you all right? Oh yeah, I'm good. No, you're not. No, you're not. You tore up from the floor up on the inside out. That was me. That was me. Walking around, people, hey, and then go home and just crushed. Or get in my car and just crushed. The process is not pretty. We got to start uncovering. That we got to start removing the mask, removing the cape, removing the roles, removing the versions of us that were built out of pain, not purpose. We got to start removing that stuff so that we can birth the purpose that God has for us. Period. Period. So I thank Kenitra because me taking her growing through grief 21-day challenge had me to start recognizing some things that I needed to, and on top of my daughter, and then I got in therapy, and I'm like, oh God, this thing here, I've been holding on for a long time. I need to release it because it started affecting. I didn't realize how it was affecting me with my relationships, not and even with my kids. Can you hear me? Now let me know if y'all can hear me. So I didn't realize how much it was affecting me with my kids, and just all the healthy relationships that I had. So this book, this book, this process, yeah, it ain't pretty, but it's I have purpose now. I realize what my mission in life is to actually help women, especially empty nesters that are struggling with their identity because we have poured so much into the roles that we played, wearing those capes, not having it all together, but choosing to walk through it anyway. Not having it all together, but choosing to walk through it anywhere. And that's where my book comes into play. The Removing the Cape 21-day journey for women to find their true identity. This wasn't just something I wrote. This was something I lived. Every page, every prompt, every moment of reflection, it came from real experience, real tears, real growth. So this is a healthy, good resource if you really want to get to the root and dig that thing up from the root. This is for you. Because it's not just a book. This is about a movement, a space where women can finally say, I don't have to be everything for everyone. I don't have to lose myself to be loved. I don't have to carry what God never assigned to me. This is about helping women release expectations, rediscover their identity, and rebuild from wholeness. Not survival, but wholeness. So, to the women listening, I want to pause right here because I know this is for you. If you ever felt lost in who you are, overlooked in rooms you show up for, disconnected from your own self, I need you to hear this. You are not too far gone. You are not too broken. You are not too late. There is still more of you to uncover. So becoming is not about adding more to your life. It's about returning to who God said you were created to be. It's about shedding what no longer fits. It's about choosing you without guilt. Single mamas, choose you without guilt. Have some balance. I'm, I just had to throw that little extra in there. It's about hearing so you don't keep repeating the cycles. And it's about trusting that God knows exactly who you are, even when you don't. So, in closing, I'm going to say today, this is day one, not just a series, but for some of you, this is day one of your journey back to yourself. And I want to leave you with this: your story isn't over. Your identity is not lost, it's waiting to be uncovered. And everything you've been through, it didn't break you, it prepared you. This is your becoming. And I hope something was said from my story that I shared with you guys tonight that will really tap into you starting the process, the journey of healing, so you can build what helped you heal. And yeah, the story is not over. It's just the beginning. Because, like I said, this journal was birthed from me going through my healing process. I've started the community of the recovery room to uncover her because of me going through this process. I mean, it's a lot that God is doing for me because I am surrendering to the process and then learning what I need to learn so I can help the next person. How am I supposed to impact the next person from what I'm learning through what I'm going through? So I love y'all, and I will see y'all tomorrow, day two, and we'll get more into the book. Love y'all. Take care.